What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NZR, and I'm your host, Joe. Today we're going to be going over the top 10 fantasy defenses of 2019. Good turnout, by the way, in the last video for the Amazon gift card. If you haven't submitted your answer for the Rookie of the Year on the defensive side of the ball, go rewatch the top 25 wide receiver video and tell me what you think. Okay, today, like I said, top 10 defenses. Remember, this isn't the top 10 defenses going into the year. It's just for fantasy football purposes, whether it's PPR or standard format. Last year, the worst defense statistically was the Kansas City Chiefs, but they were 7th in fantasy football. The Redskins were 7-9, but they had the 9th best fantasy football defense. So this is defensive rankings that obviously goes off of interceptions, forced fumbles or regular fumbles, touchdowns that the defense scores, and sacks. Okay, and those are the highest 4 or 5 wagered point scales for fantasy football. So that's going to be these 10 teams, and we're going to kick it off with number 10, the New England Patriots. Okay, I'll make it short and sweet with these Patriots. Devontae Hightower, one of the best linebackers in the game. He's going to lead the charge. Kyle Van Noy's out there. The McCourty brothers, J.C. Jackson. And what about Patrick Chung for one more year? This was a top 10 fantasy ball club last year. They're going to do the same thing this year. Get these guys off the board. Let's scoot over to number 9. Okay, so the Colts pull in right at 9 right there. Hooker as their free safety Gathers. I like Gathers a lot. This is a young defense. Kenny Moore out there, obviously. Pierre's going to be the other corner. Darius Leonard was the best defensive rookie last year, in my opinion. Might have been one of the best defensive players in the league last year. Maybe not above Darnold or Khalil, but, he's a lot of fun to watch too. And a lot of youth here in Indianapolis. So I expect a very good surge of high production of sacks, interceptions, and maybe 2-3 pick sixes in there. I know in the second or third string right now they got Rocky Sim lined up, so hopefully he can get in there eventually and kind of show what he can do, because I believe he's a phenomenal corner, and he'll be good for many years to come too, when he gets a chance to shine. So number 9 right there, but this is going to be a productive team all around. Obviously offensively, I've said that in the videos before, but defensively in fantasy football, a team you want to get your hands on. They're all around good, and Leonard, his second year, is going to be leading the way over there in Indianapolis. So they're at 9. Number 8. It's America's team, okay? So, in my opinion, they have the best linebacker core in the NFL, hands down. I love Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith. He's a monster, and Sean Lee, when he's healthy, he's on. And outside the fantasy world, this is going to be a top defense, in my opinion. But in the fantasy world, I also think it's going to be a top defense. They can get after their quarterback. Awuzie's on the outside with Byron Jones. I really like these guys. DeMarcus Lawrence is there. They're 8. Number 7. So obviously the number one con and the thing you don't want to have in a defense is giving up points, and I don't think the Seahawks are going to be doing a whole lot of that this year. The new addition of Ziggy Ansah, he's healthy, he's going to be fun to watch on the edge. LJ and KJ are still in there. Bobby Wagner, if not the best, close to the best linebacker in the NFL, and then Griffin and Flowers as corners. They're going to create turnovers in the secondary. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback in the linebacker position, just like the Cowboys are going to do. And again, this is a team you don't want to reach for, but they're going to fall right into your lap around 13th or 14th round. Pick them up, have a lot of success with them, because it's going to help you get to the fantasy football playoffs. So they're at 7. Let's go to 6. So this is kind of a tough one because, again, this is fantasy football. I think defensively, on the statistic measures, they're going to be worse this year. They're going to be a better defensive team, but statistically, they're going to be worse. Remember, they were the number 1 pass defense last year, but you know what happens when you play from behind. You don't really get thrown on all too much, okay? So this wasn't a top 10 fantasy football defense last year. This is like a 10-spot jump for them, or an 8-spot jump for them. They were 14th. The Saints had the number 1 rush defense, as we went over last year, but they weren't even in the top 10. They were better than the Bills in fantasy football last year. So this is a big jump for the Buffalo Bills. They're going to get after the quarterback with their new addition of Ed Oliver, and I really like them in there, just outside the top 5. But then again, a team you want in the number 1 defense slot, because they're going to be productive and they're going to be above average for defenses here in the upcoming season. So they're at 6. Let's go to 5. Okay, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be a top 5, maybe top 10 defensive team just in general in the NFL this year. And in fantasy football, I have them at 5. I've seen them as far as 4 and 3 in different mocks. I've seen them as back as 20th, so all over the board. But I'm all in on this defense this year. I did it in my divisional breakdown of those guys. Devin Bush, the rookie coming in. I love Devin Bush, and he's fast, and he's good, and he's going to make an impact day one. Edmonds obviously out there. Davis Nelson and Hayden are in the backfield, but this is a good defensive team. They don't necessarily go against offensive powerhouses. I know people want to bring the Cleveland argument into it, but we don't know what Cleveland's going to do yet. But besides for them, Baltimore doesn't put up 100 on you normally. Since he has their woes, pretty easy to moderate schedule this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers regarding, offensive powerhouses. So I like them right there, and they're going to be productive. They always get after the quarterback, and they cause disruption. Teams are going to have to throw against them because I still believe they're going to have a good offense with Big Ben, and that secondary is pretty sharp. Okay, so they're at 5. Pick these guys up. You're going to like them. Let's head to 4. It's the Baltimore Ravens. This is a storied defense franchise. They always have been, and I think they might always will be. Warmly, obviously, in there, Pierce, Bowser, Kenny Young, probably right linebacker position this year, or somewhere right there in the middle. And obviously, the new addition with Earl Thomas and Marlon Humphrey is going to be out there as probably the left corner, the main side corner. So always production out of these guys. They're always getting after everybody, and they play better in the second half. So if you're kind of right there in your fantasy football world and you're a game or two above 500 and you need those little extra points, the Ravens statistically and throughout the years have they turn it up a notch right there in the second half of the season. And not that they're bad in the first half, but man, they can do some things that you wouldn't believe. So in real world, they're going to be a good defense. In fantasy, obviously I have them top 5, so a lot of fun to watch and see what Earl Thomas does this year. He's coming back off of an injury, so he might have a slump kind of year, but I think he's going to have another breakout kind of year as the old vet back there in the backfield. So they're right there at number 4. Let's go to 3. Yes, you're reading it 100% right. It's the Chicago Bears, and I'm going to tell you why. Now listen, the number one thing you don't want your fantasy football defense to do this year is to give up points. That's it. You don't want your defense to give up points. They're going to give up yards like every other defense every week ever, but the less points you give up, the better you do. In 2018, the Chicago Bears played only 3 teams in the top 10 in offensive statistics: the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Patriots. Every other team was 14th all the way to 32nd. They played 82% of their games against back half offensive teams. That's the best percentage in the NFL, meaning that the Chicago Bears played the easiest opposing offensive schedule out of any team. That's crazy, and that's why they propelled even higher in the fantasy ranks. Yes, they had interceptions. Yes, they had sacks. Yes, this is still a great defense, okay? But they're going to drop this year. They have a harder schedule. Remember, it's points. The Vikings will score on them. The Saints will score on them. The Chargers will score on them. The Eagles will score on them. The Rams will score on them. The Cowboys will score on them. Kansas City will score on them, okay? I'm not saying they're going to drop 20 spots. I'm not saying there's no way they're 6-10. No, they're going to be a great team, and it's going to be another great defensive year for them, but they're going to give up more points. There's absolutely no doubt about it. They're at 3, okay? Here's 2 better teams. Let's go to 2. Okay, so the Bolts shoot up to number 2. Obviously, I like Bosa and Ingram up front, but that's not really why I have them so far up. It's really going to be that secondary. They're going to go against a lot of teams that love airing the ball out this upcoming season especially, so I see them picking off Derek Carr and the Raiders. They go out to New Orleans. I think they're going to get some interceptions there. The Falcons, Carolina, Tampa Bay, KC. These teams love throwing the ball, and they're going to get the interceptions, and I believe they're going to lead the league, like I said, which is going to give them a huge advantage in the fantasy football world for your team. Chargers are locked in there. This is also a top 5 team, in my opinion, in the NFL in general, but definitely a top 5 in fantasy. That's 2. You never know with me who's going to be number 1. Is it the Oakland Raiders? Let's find out. So not quite the Oakland Raiders, but so much talent, even with Telvin Smith gone. Njoku, Josh Allen, Calais Campbell, Miles Jack, Jake Ryan, and 2 of the top 10 best corners in the league, AJ Boye and your man Jalen Ramsey. So you're going to get it everywhere from these guys. They're going to pick it. They're going to bring it to the house for 6. They're going to sack, and they're going to force fumble you out the door. And that's why you want them on your fantasy football team this year. And that's why I have them locked in at number 1 over the Bears and over the Chargers. So there you have it. That's my top 10 fantasy defenses for 2019. Tell me what you think. Remember, this isn't actual defense rankings. I did put that out in my power rankings video, but this is just for fantasy football. So no need to be hostile. I want to know what you think. And hey, while you're at it, subscribe, follow along. And if you like the video, shoot me a like. It means so much. And I'm always coming out with new content, just like I am next week, dropping 2 more videos. And I'm giving away that Amazon gift card. Actually, 2 Amazon gift cards I promised from my previous video. So if you don't know about that, go check it out. And message me who you think the defensive rookie player of the year is going to be in 2019. Okay, guys, that's it for now. That's it for this beautiful Thursday. I'm Joe. This is the NZR. And until next time, so long.